All right, so we're gonna get back to this background image, um, because we just suffered a little crash. Well, maybe not really a crash, but we lost the image, and then I didn't have enough history to be able to recover it. So I'm just gonna kind of start over again. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close this application because I don't really know if I can trust it. And I'm going to restart the app. All right, got a nice clean. I don't need the formulas here. I want the lighting tab. So I've got a nice clean uh, 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 restart of my application. So what I was talking about in the last session, before we were interrupted with a little instability there, I was saying that if you want to use a background pick, your background image should be the same resolution or higher than your main view. All right, because the Mandelbulb 3D software is okay with scaling down, but it doesn't do a good job in scaling up. All right, this is not a highfalutin image processing application. This is a Mandelbulb 3D fractal generator. And there's a number of things that it's just not that good at, but then there's a number of things that it's very good at. So let's see if we can kind of wrap this whole background picture thing up. So I've got an 800 by 450 view environment, plenty fine for building your Mandelbulb graphic. I'm going to load up the background pick. I'm going to pick this one. It defaults as spherical. All right, as full background sphere. Good enough to talk about for the moment. Basically, your background image has been taken, and the Mandelbulb 3D software has created a sphere with your Mandelbulb object in the middle. A 360 sphere with your background image in the middle. And this is why you see it kind of distorted like that. Now, I do have some control over the axis of this background picture. Keep in mind that we are a sphere at the moment. Here's my z-axis. All right. And it's my z-axis. In this particular case, I'm dealing with sphere now. It's giving me the effect of rotating. All right, here's my y-axis, and the sphere is moving back and forth here because the axis is kind of rotated. Here is the x-axis. Okay, we're a sphere. I mean, look at this. This let's see if we can see it here. Yeah, okay. We kind of see the point where the sphere is kind of coming together. The tie point, the union point. All right, and this is the intensity, int. This is the intensity of the background image. Pretty straightforward. Intensity. I'm going to go back to ambient and get this all the way down. You see, this is my depth, and this makes this all transparent as opposed to semi-transparent, as opposed to opaque, not transparent. When you're dealing with a background pick, this ambient depth is a control that you need to interact with. All right, so, okay. So I have, let's get back to my background pick. So I have a sphere, and I have control over the axis, and I have control over the intensity. Now, I'm going to uncheck this as a sphere. Now I've got a flat background there. All right. And I can do a fit if the aspect ratio is different. I can do a fit. I can smooth the image on load. That's kind of important because uh, certainly if you have if you're trying to make an animation and you have a background pick, well, each of the keyframes, uh, when you build your animation, your keyframes, and you're going to have these frames that will be interpolated in the middle of the keyframes. Well, that background pick has got to continuously be reloaded. All right, and this will smooth it out. Scale rows to geographic projection. All right, sketches upper and lower parts may be useful for common image in full sphere. Okay, so this is basically the when the background image is turned into a sphere. This is the how the image is projected as a sphere. Now, add to background depth, not blend. Let's check that. Add to background depth. Okay. If enabled, the image does not vanish on high depth values. That's interesting. Now, that depth value that it's referring to is over here on ambient. So I'm going to have that checked on. All right. And ambient, I'm going to see what this thing means. Ooh, now look at that. Check that out. Now, that could be quite useful artistically. As I dialed up my depth, my background image didn't disappear. Doesn't look very good, but it didn't disappear. Now, I can almost view that as a situation where the background is faded out. From an artistic standpoint, that could be a fade out. Whereas something like that, it's too close. It's too close to it. It visually interferes with the fractal object. But if I do something like this, it kind of gives it the impression it's forced off to the background. It's way off in the background, not really clearly visible. So that could be an interesting artistic feature. All right. Use a small image as ambient color. Okay. So what this will do for spherical usage replaces the ambient colors with the downscaled background image. Ah, interesting. Okay. So what this will do is it will take the colors from your background picture and utilize those colors in your ambient. You'll notice here that these two icons here have changed because the background picture is now influencing the ambient coloring. So again, this could be an interesting artistic feature. All right. Okay. All right. Now, I wanted to show you something else before we end this session. We don't need this anymore. Let's fire up the navigator. Let's get that over here. I'm going to pull the parameters over. It doesn't look very good, but now let's adjust the lighting a little bit. That's a little bit better. Now, something to keep in mind here. I'm on a flat background. I'm background image. I'm not spherical here. But now watch this. When I slide over, I'm sliding over in relation to the Mandelbulb object. My background here does not change in its position. So keep in mind that when you're navigating in an environment with a flat background image, that image does not move around. Your camera is moving relative to the fractal image, but the background remains static. Now let's try let's try putting this as a spherical. All right. And I'm going to pull the parameters back over. Now there's my spherical background here. I'm going to navigate. Now, same thing, you see? Okay. So it's important to keep in mind that your background image, whether it's spherical or flat, does not move with respect to the camera. Your camera moves with respect to the Mandelbulb image, but the background does not. Now, that could be disruptive, especially in an animation. I mean, a still, I don't care. I don't care if anything moves, and that might make a beautiful still image, which I can render out in high resolution and look quite fine. But if I wanted that background image to be used in an animation, I need to keep in mind that I may animate all over the place with respect to the fractal, all right? But the background, whether it's spherical or flat, never moves. And so in order for that to work out well for me, I just have to keep in mind that the animation might look a little odd. I'm flying past a fractal, but the background stays consistent. Like, where am I? What's going on here? All right, it's just something to keep in mind from an artistic standpoint. But we have covered, I think we've sufficiently covered your background pick, and we've also learned a couple lessons along the way. We lost some work, we lost a little bit of time. It went screwy on us. We found that if we unloaded it, we couldn't reload the exact same image. We had to go load some other image and then go back and load the image that we wanted to kind of clear its brains. Hey, that's okay. If we understand the idiosyncrasies and even the bugs of this software or any software, once we understand those, we can work around it and we can proceed and carry on with our artistic endeavors, regardless of how the tools might fail us from time to time. That's enough for now. I'll see you in the next session.